So, ready or not, here we come. All right. Should be good. Okay, so Tim's got a couple news things. Do you have a couple news things there, Paulie? No.
No, I do. I'm just trying to remember what they were.
Did you guys talk about Fireflight last week and them delaying their
No,
thing?
we did not.
Well,
Okay.
we talked about. Well, no, I guess that was Monday. We talked about.
Yeah, we
her
talked about it
being-
on our show, but I couldn't remember. I don't think it had happened yet when you guys were recording this last week.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, there's the whole Lecrae doing really well and topping out iTunes at least at one point.
Yeah,
So that's kind of fun.
we can go there.
And there was something else, and now I don't remember what it was.
Tim's mic's been cutting a little bit. I've got him wired into the system, or wired into the to the internet over there, Paul. But his mic has been cutting out sometimes mid-sentence, so just kind of bear with it. He's recording his side, so we'll have everything. It just might make our answers kind of awkward if it stays cut for too long and we can't get the gist of what he's saying.
Okay.
So I'm not sure why it's doing it. It's the internet's being funky over there.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. I'm so tired.
Right. Oh, did you also get the thing about Flyleaf streaming the new album on Yahoo Music?
You know, I saw that Kirk actually asked us if we'd heard it yet, and
Yeah.
I had not. Did we get a copy of that yet, Tim?
No, I'm to harass their promotions guy, and it's somebody we've never worked with, and so it's like, all right, you got to email me back. I gotta try to do stuff.
So you managed to get backstage passes for Scott Stapp in Sacramento, but you can't get the Flyleaf album.
Well, see, the thing with that is that was a promoter I always deal with. I was dealing with Scott Stapp's radio promoter who knows me and loves me. So.
Okay. Oh, man. I got to put that date on the calendar, too, so I can make sure that I can go.
Oh, yeah.
That is not an opportunity that I will miss unless I absolutely have to. Oh, Tom has Flyleaf. Yes, Tom, we want Flyleaf.
Yes.
Yes, please.
And by the way, we hate Tom Labonte.
Not right now, I don't. If he's given me Flyleaf, I'm perfectly fine with Tom Labonte.
Once it hits the Dropbox and you download it, then you can hate Tom Labonte.
See, honestly, well, there's only one time I've been disappointed in Tom Labonte. And that happened when he spoiled my fun with Paul.
Oh, well.
But he was sick that day, so he wasn't in the chat room for me to harass him too badly. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what it was, but it's on Indie Vision anyway. But yeah, the new Project 86 cover.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which this is going to sound terrible, but I think this may be the first Project 86 album cover that I like.
Oh, that's funny.
I not that I hate every one of their album covers, but I've never been like, ooh, that's really cool.
We will definitely have to dive deeper into this.
Yeah.
The psyche
The name of the
behind-
episode is Paul Hates Project 86.
No.
Tom says, disappoint Americans is what I do. You forgot the little A at the end of it.
Don't worry. Canada's been doing that for a long time.
Oh. Hey, you know what? Canada's America's hat. If anybody's going to attack from the north, they got to go through Canada first.
Or what's that thing from Robin Williams live on Broadway is like Canada's kind of like a loft apartment above a house that always has really good parties. Keep it down there, eh?
That's right. Hey, at least that time you didn't sound Mexican.
Right. Hey, man. Eh?
I just
got
tell
you with
people
my
I moved from
stiletto,
Canada
eh?
in 1983. I've been disappointed ever since. So there you go.
Paul, I wore my Star Wars shirt just for you
Oh, well, thank you.
because you seem to love it so much and comment on it all the time.
No, I don't. I just commented the last time you looked spiffy because you were wearing a nondescript shirt that just kind of looked spiffy.
Yeah. It's funny because I like that shirt. My wife hates it. It's
The one
just
that I said looked spiffy?
yeah. Yeah, it's just a plain shirt. But she's like, I wish you wouldn't wear that shirt. I really don't like it. Paul needs to do a Flash cartoon of his character Pierre Lopez. Or Pierre Gonzalez.
He's a Mountie who wears the sombrero.
That's right. Hey, amigo. Or amigo, eh?
Donde está milk in the bag?
Oh, my goodness. Good morning, Alyssa.
See, the real reason I came on the show is just to give my thumbs, a rest, and so I don't have to type. I can just talk.
Yes, exactly.
Fair enough.
No, I kept threatening Chris. It's like one day I'm going to come on the show, and so earlier this week I'm like, all right, it's happening. I'm coming through.
So I told him, I said, you keep threatening that, but it has yet to happen.
Yeah, my house is being used for a photo shoot this morning, and so it was a good morning for me to head out.
Tim's like, the best thing I can possibly do is to not be at the house.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, just yes.
Yeah, this doesn't often happen because my wife is a photographer, but she loves shooting outside. And but this morning is an indoor shoot.
Got to go where the money is.
It's weird though because she does a lot of weddings, or she's starting to do more weddings, and so I go to all these weddings for people I don't know.
Right.
All right, so I've got Tom's review. I've got the stew. I guess I should bring up my twisted audio copy, huh?
Twisted?
Yeah, so I said it on purpose.
Okay, just making sure.
I did. I said it on purpose. All right. So are we about ready to get going?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
Paul's
Sure.
in charge of the topic, so, as long as that's good to go, I'm good to go. I don't know where Kirk is. It's weird not having him here.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of Michael. Never mind. My computer is so irritating right now. Like, I went to drag something from Explorer into Audition, and it made it there, but the thing is that it's still showing the icon is floating like I had like it does when you drag it over something. It's still showing it there, even though I exited the program, went all the way back, and everything. It's just being stupid.
Sounds like you're having a major issue. Is it going to be okay to record today, you think?
I sure hope so. And to make matters even more fun, I've had to reset my internet twice because it was being stupid.
No. So it's just a stupid day at the Gibson household.
Yes. That is the best possible way, I think.
More coffee. I was going to grab a second cup of coffee, and then I realized I'm out of half and half. I'm kind of a wuss.
Oh, that's the one good thing about this morning. Guess what I found at our discount grocery place?
I don't know.
The Samoa creamer for $1.
Nice. It's
This is a foreign world to me. I've been drinking black coffee for the last 20 years. I don't really see a need to change.
You like it there, Paul?
Oh, yes.
It's very tasty, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I would buy that by the gallon, given the opportunity.
Uh-huh.
It's very delicious.
Tasty. Well, see, Tim, the thing is like either you can have just coffee flavor or you can have it taste like a Girl Scout cookie dunked in coffee.
Yeah, I'll take the Girl Scout cookie dunked in coffee, thanks.
But the joke is, like, when we go out to breakfast, because my wife doesn't drink coffee at all. She just doesn't like it. But the joke is that I don't even like for creamer to be on the table because, like, I just call it, it's like the appearance of evil. It's
oh, well, then you and I are never going to be able to sit down and have coffee across from each other.
This is why we have lunch together, not breakfast.
Oh, not sure why the one. Oh, because apparently you logged in once, Alyssa, and it logged you out, and you logged back in, and that's why it put the -1. Eventually, because I see 2 of you in the chat room, 2 of your name, I should say, and so eventually one of them will drop off, and everything will be fine. Don't worry, we know which one the real one is. Okay. Did you make the chat float out? Oh, that may be. See, Paul. Now everyone in the chat room sees you reaching for the camera, but they never saw what I did.
Yeah, because Chris is over there. Here we go. A Skype high five.
That's right. Oh, man.
We're dorks.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so I guess we're pretty much ready to go.
Sure.
Seem that way?
Yeah, why not?
Tim, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so everybody hit record in 3, 2, 1. This episode of Rockin' a Hard Place podcast brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Tweaked Audio earbuds available at tweakedaudio.com. Use the code HARDPLACE and get 33% off your order. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rockin' a Hard Place podcast. My name is Chris Cooner. I am a DJ with BrokenFM. Be sure to check us out online at broken.fm, where you can download the free app from the Android, Apple, and what is the other one? Amazon App Store. Yeah, it's available there for free. So check it out for sure. Joining me today, we've got 2 people with me today. We'll introduce the first. He is the regular co-host of this show, as well as the host of the Christian Rock 20. His name is Paul Gibson.
Hey, everybody. I am half asleep and getting worse. So, what's going on with you guys?
Did you take some cold medicine or something?
No, I'm just exhausted, man. I got up at like 5 a.m. yesterday, drove about 6 hours, did my fun day job, which is like a school assembly presentation twice for a bunch of elementary kids who on the whole, were very good. And then I drove 6 hours back. So
nice.
I'm a little exhausted, and,
I can understand that. I can understand.
By the end of yesterday, I was so sick of sitting down.
Well, the other face on the stream, but if you're not watching the stream, you wouldn't know that, is my Monday co-host and Broken FM's program director. His name is Tim Hopkins. How's it going, man?
It's good. I didn't have 6 hours to get here. It was a cool 15 minutes, and I have coffee. I come to you live from the Broken FM studios because, unlike Chris and Paul, I don't have a home studio.
That's right.
So I had to come down to the actual radio studio.
See, now somehow he made that sound both better and worse than us at the same time. I'm not really quite sure where to fall on that.
It was like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. Like I don't have a home studio, but I'm in a real radio studio. One that has broadcast abilities.
Just make sure you don't flip the switch and actually be on the air, Tim. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I made sure the button was far away from me, and so, yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that. Oh, my. Well, since there's 3 of us, this is going to be a unique challenge in that want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to talk. So we will, when we talk about news, we'll probably try to direct our answers towards another person that we're going to hand it off to, so that we're not trying to talk over each other. Besides, I'm the one that has to edit all three of these conversations together into some cohesive strip. So I'd appreciate a little help in some linear thought there, guys.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Thanks. So, Tim, you brought a couple of news items to the table. Why don't you start us off with the first story?
Well, Dusty's been in the news. Talked about him on the show. It was last week about him, all the Mars, and what he's doing is actually his guitar on eBay. This is a guitar he's used on tour. He's used recording, and now it's all refurbished. Apparently, he bought a bunch of work. It's on eBay now. It's $2,000. So it's literally $1,999.99. So if you want to try to swoop in and put in your $20,000 or your $2,000 bid, you can do it now.
So why do you think Dustin would be selling his guitar now? Is there
this is not a guitar he's been using. He actually gave it to his dad, and then his dad passed away, and then so he got it back and then kind of refurbished it.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a little more sense. It just, I mean, I guess with the news we had last week of Dustin leaving Mars Hill and things along those lines, it just kind of was, this, I thought maybe this was tied into that whole deal. I guess with him, with him no longer being a worship pastor, is Thrice going to make a comeback? Paul?
You never know. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember when they broke up, what they said the other guys were going to do. It felt like they had other stuff to go on to as well. Like, it didn't feel like it was just him saying, "Oh, I'm sick of this. You guys, I don't care what you're going to do, but I'm going to go do this." I mean, it felt like it was kind of a mutual decision, at least, to take a break. So it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to do something else, but there's just no telling at this point. Who knows? Maybe they've gotten bored and disenfranchised with whatever they're doing by now too.
Yeah, no,
I think summers ago. I remember I went to the fair because it came through San Francisco. So my wife and I went. I don't think we were husband and wife yet. So I'm trying to think, was this post-wedding or pre-wedding? I think it was a pre-wedding.
I think
yes.
I think it might have been pre-wedding.
I think so too, because that was a pretty good while back. And plus, just know that is how you will ask yourself everything from here on out is post and pre-wedding.
Well, wasn't that the same, Tim, wasn't that the same year that Switchfoot came through San Francisco on Vice Versus?
No, before we that or two before.
Huh, I don't know. That's odd. That's very odd. I don't know. Paul.
Yes, sir.
What's the next story, buddy?
Well, this one comes complete with a sound clip because I like that, and because I won't have noise trade, selections later because my morning kind of went down the toilet very early on. I didn't have anything for that, so I've got to redeem myself with this, and I think it will more than make up for it. KJ52, the man who breathes a lot through his mouth, as Chris puts it, his favorite mouth breather, has a new single and a new album that will drop next month. Now, the new single, I am all on board with. I am in completely. It's the one that if I had to have said, "Oh, I've seen the track listing, this is the one I want to hear," this would have been the one. As a matter of fact, I even played it at a couple of the schools, and I had a couple of kids walk up to me and "Who is this? Tell me the name. I must know. I must have this song." And the song is called Game Face. And as I understand it, there is two parts to it. So what I have is the first part. As far as there is a Game Face 1 and a Game Face 2. At least the first one was produced and the beat made and all that by Soul Glow Activator, which of course I'm in on that. And then it features KB as well as Soul Glow doing some chorus vocals. Yeah, pretty cool. It's very different, I think, to me, than a lot of recent KJ stuff. Not that I didn't like recent KJ stuff, but this one is kind of, at least for me, on another level of catchiness. So I'm going to play you a clip from Game Face. And it doesn't feature KB's part. It just features KJ and Soul Glow just because we're kind of limited to how much we can play. So here, tell me what you guys think. Here we go.
And I'm going in, I'm showing in just what you did and done for me. And I know I live, I know my sin is gone, and I'm feeling. I'm feeling feeling like a beast, someone let me out. I'm feeling like I'm free, someone let me out. You feeling just like me and someone lets you out. Then get up on your feet, it's game time. Let me hear you shout. Going in for the win. Body full of adrenaline. Turn in my zone, going hard like I'm LeBron.
Going hard like I'm LeBron. But anyway, what do you guys think? Good? Not good?
I really enjoy it. KB's one of those artists that I'm sure has been around forever, and I just seem to think it seems to be in everything now. He's always the guest in everything now.
Yeah.
But no, I really dig it. So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the music was so loud I couldn't hear him breathe at all. So I'm down with that.
That was the non-breathing mix for Chris.
Yeah. That's the breathless mix.
Great minds.
Absolutely,
Great minds.
man. We've been doing this together too long, Paul. Oh my word. Yeah, the breathless mix. I like that. We'll say that's he did it for me.
That's right. He's been listening to the podcast and he's like, "Oh shoot, I do that, don't I?"
I've been doing that for years, and now somebody's out. I gotta.
Oh my goodness. All right, Tim. What's your next article there, man?
Well, kind of close to home. I actually mentioned this one. It's kind of similar to what we're doing. My wife is pregnant now. We're gonna have a baby next year, and apparently, so is delay. We're not at our house. Apparently, they're producing a new record for Firefly, and it's delayed. So I'm not really sure when it's supposed to come out, but now it's coming out in May. So the new record's called Innova. It'll be coming out, I think, May 5th.
So we're still trying to figure out why Tim's microphone likes to cut in and out when we're in a Skype conversation. So video folks, I apologize. It'll be great on the audio because Tim will have his own thing recorded. But if you missed it on the video, he's talking about Dawn Michelle from Firefly. She and her husband Matt are expecting a baby, and I guess the baby is what's delaying the album release, Tim?
Yes. All that their album releases while pregnant. So
okay.
Just like, all right, we'll just push all that back. And I guess you can do that a little bit easier because this was an Indiegogo project and not a label project.
Gotcha. Okay.
I wonder what it must be like to be born and already have like all of the fans of your mom's band kind of dislike you a little bit.
Yeah.
This baby better be cute, I guess.
Yeah.
I hear tell they're going to name the baby Yoko, but I could be wrong.
Oh, wow. That would...
If only your husband's name was John and not Matt.
I don't think that would play very well, to be honest. Something about that just says, I don't think so. I haven't heard any clips from the new album yet, Paul. Do you know much about it?
About the new Firefly?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so anyway. Hold that thought because I want to say that there is like a pre-released song that they had thrown out at some point. Maybe it might have been on the songs we've been trying to tell you about release from Jesus Freak Hideout recently.
Right.
Now the stuff that I had heard before then, before that point, I'm kind of sorry. I'm looking through that songs we've been trying to tell you about. I don't see it on there, so I guess not. I'd heard clips before then, just kind of, I guess, as part of their campaign, and very much another step towards being indie rock as opposed to hard rock. So it'll be interesting to see how this album plays to their pre-existing fans because you, I think, discover very quickly either the amount of just sheer blind loyalty, open-mindedness, and just how much people like a band for their lead singer, period. Because when you change genres, you are just opening yourself up for not just scrutiny of, oh, was that a good decision or not, but you almost have a chance to get a whole new group of fans, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
Now, I was also reading on the so it's a little bit of this apparently will release 15. So lots of fives going on.
Lots of fives. All right. Try backing off just a little bit more, Tim, because you're still... Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's what the problem is, if the mic is just... It can't handle the power of the Tim Hopkins vocal. So maybe sit just a little farther away.
I know my own power, so they.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's really weird.
What's Sophie? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's just so odd. I've never had that before. So I don't understand. There's also on the icicle that you're using. There's a volume control on the icicle. Oh, there's his belly in the desk now. He can try turning that down a little bit and seeing if that helps.
That's what I was doing. I had to move my but
yeah, that didn't do anything. You're still breaking up. It's the broken studio, so his audio's broken.
we need to start a new station called Not Broken, and then I'll go over there.
That's right. Oh man. Well, for fans of Flyleaf, there is an album that is coming, and you get an opportunity to preview it by heading over to where, Paul?
Yahoo Music.
Yahoo
If you
Music.
check out Yahoo, I guess it's music.yahoo.com, but
Okay.
if you just search for Yahoo Music, or I'm sure if you go to the Flyleaf Facebook page, I'm sure they have a link there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you can stream the whole album before it comes out, which is kind of a new thing. I mean, it's pretty much gotten to the point where if anyone has heard of you, there's going to be a stream of your album somewhere early.
Yeah.
Which
Definitely.
I'm kind of all about.
Well, legal or otherwise.
Well, yes.
Well, I know
Legal or otherwise.
Lecrae did his record, and as much as I enjoyed listening to it ahead, I was also it's also kind of annoying because it was through iTunes Radio, and so it was basically like listening to the record with lots of commercials.
Yeah.
And so it was lots of, I think it was American Express or whatever it was, and so that was just annoying. But it was a good record. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, his audio is sounding a whole lot better.
Yeah, it is. We actually got that entire sentence. So fantastic. Good
Well, there you
deal.
go.
I feel like I'm
that-
begging for it to go downhill,
Yeah.
but still.
And now it's done.
Yeah. Alyssa says that she listened and she liked it. It's not the same, but still good, I think. I was talking to, or Kirk, I think, posted in the on our Facebook page for the podcast that he had taken a listen to it. And, there was a lot of rumor that they were saying that they were leaning more towards being like a Paramore. And Kirk didn't really feel that Paramore was where this landed, which I think is a good thing because we already have a Paramore, or kind of, depending on perspective. So it's not like we need another band like them.
Yeah, agreed.
So Lacey also had some videos posted out. We put links to them on the Broken FM Facebook page, talking about why she left Flyleaf and also talking about the book that she has coming up. Tim, do you know the release date? Do you remember the release date for her book?
It's in October. I don't remember the big date, but it is
Okay.
October.
October something. So we'll see what happens there. Keep an eye out on that. So streaming music, free music, always a good thing in my opinion. So we're excited to see what all is going to be happening in the future. Paul, did you have another news story?
Not really. I wanted to just slightly comment, and I'm hoping that this doesn't put me into the area of sounding like a jerk. But I watched the video of Lacey talking, explaining why she left Flyleaf. And I'm very curious, not so much that I think it was lame, but I'm curious how many of her fans were just like, oh, really? That's why? But like the whole thing boiled down to they had their sound guy died unexpectedly, and he had been their sound engineer or live sound guy for a long time. And when that happened, it was right after she had had her baby. And she just looked over at her baby and was like, well, death can come unexpectedly. And I just want to make sure that I was spending, my time wisely while I was here. And I don't want to look over to my kid and say, oh, well, I was out touring and maybe you were with me and maybe you weren't. But so for that reason, I'm just going to leave the band. And that was, I don't know. To me, I was just like, really? That's why? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of expecting something maybe slightly more deep or just slightly more shallow. It was kind of in a weird middle ground for me.
Well, I don't get how you could say that and then be okay with guys leaving bands because they're getting married and
Oh, I'm not okay with that. But that's just me as a music lover. As a husband, I totally get it. But as a music lover, I'm like, no, come on, no.
Right.
You can make it work. Come on.
Yeah.
That should be the idea.
No, I remember when a lot of it was, hey, I'm going to be a mom. And so this was more kind of feeling, I guess, a second part to that. So, I mean, it wasn't super surprising, although I was surprised to hear it was like due to the sound guy, but I knew that it was at least the mom component played a large role in it when this happened.
Right. But then I'm sure, and I know that it's probably more logical than I'm going to make it sound in this, but it's also kind of weird, from an outsider's perspective, I could see it being weird of like, oh, I quit this highly successful band because I'm a mom and I wanted to spend more time with my kids. So I decided to write a huge book and start a solo career, which will involve me probably touring.
Well, but see, I think there's a difference. I mean, how much did Flyleaf tour? They toured all the time. Like, I think in that video, she said we were home maybe a month a year.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing that blows me away is how many albums does Flyleaf have out?
Technically, 3.
3. Right.
Yeah.
And they've been around for how long?
Long time.
Yeah. Who can tour 11 months out of a year for 10 years, let's say, on 3 albums?
Yeah.
Who gets to do that? There's not very many bands. There's not very many bands that get to do that.
Right. And I mean, there was one EP in there, but let's face it, EPs don't necessarily count. Because most fans forget about EPs pretty quickly.
I don't count EPs as albums. I count them as EPs. That's what they are. It's like 4 singles crammed onto a disc.
Right. But it is pretty crazy because it has been. If you count it to now, because technically Lacey left like a year and a half ago or something like that. It's been a while.
Well, it was right. Yeah, it was right after their last album came out.
Yeah.
Like the album hit, and she's like, "I'm not touring. I'm leaving the band. So, good luck with this album gaining any traction."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because their first album, I want to say, came out in like 2004, maybe somewhere around in there, because it was their first single was really starting to hit when I started working for Power FM in Dallas.
Yeah,
and that would have been about that time. But yeah, it's crazy to think about, how little they've had to put out. I mean, it's all been good, but at the same time, it's like you've got Flyleaf and you've got Skillet. Pretty much no one else has been able to put out that little music and have that much touring success. Although those things are sometimes hand in hand, because if you've got an album that is quote unquote good enough, then you're going to be wanted to tour a whole lot. And then you don't have time to go to the studio to do something else.
right.
So, and for the band, it's probably more economical because they don't have to spend money on studio time.
No one loves them. They don't have, a bunch of other records, yet they keep records. It's kind of an ideal thing.
Yeah, well, if you can tour on a record for multiple years in a row, I guess go for it. I mean, touring and merch is where a lot of the money's at anyhow, not necessarily the album sales. So, it makes sense, but I'm just thinking, how many bands feel like they have to put out a new album every year or sooner in order to keep the gravy train flowing?
Yeah.
Whereas bands like Skillet and Flyleaf have been able to go long distances and milk an album for wherever they could. Alyssa says that Flyleaf never made it to where she is, so she never got to see Flyleaf. I never got to see them either, Alyssa. So I'm right there with you.
I did.
Shut up, Paul.
Although I will say this though, I think I only got to see half their set because I got to see them on one of the big tours that I think Korn was highlighting back in the mid 2000s, and Flyleaf and Evanescence was touring with them. Was really the reason why I went. But
awesome.
Yeah, but I only got to see them do like about half of it. But it was impressive, which is pretty amazing. And it was funny. I don't remember why it came up, but we were talking. I guess I was telling my wife about this, and somehow I was like, it's so weird that Lacey has such a big voice because she's really short. And my wife Sarah was like, really? How short is she? I'm like, well, I want to say she's like 4 foot, like 4'8" or something. Turns out she's like 4'10". She's really short.
Yeah. I went to school with a girl who was actually 4'10.5". She always wanted to make sure that you included the half. So. Yeah, exactly. And I think she married a guy who's like 6'4" or something like that. I mean, it's just
always
like
the way it works.
Just like comes up to his belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tim, did you, if we can hear you, did you have any other news stories that you wanted
Well, I
to
was
bring
just
up?
going to say that Fly is going on tour, and I know because they're coming to San Francisco. So, so they are coming on tour. They are actually coming to San Francisco. It won't be with Lacey, but hey, I do like the new lead singer, Kristen May. I'll be interested to hear the whole record, but I like "Set Me on Fire," and I'll be interested if I can manage to get down to the show in the city. I'll have to go check that out.
Oh, fantastic! So, and
Yeah, they're
yes.
playing a Halloween show in Portland.
Ooh, that
Which
could be
I don't know
interesting.
how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about traipsing around Portland on Halloween.
See, the last time Project was here in town, they did a Halloween show at the Phoenix. And they encouraged everybody to dress up, and whoever dressed up actually got a discount at their merch table.
Nice.
So,
And it was late age that night when their makeup.
yeah, they were late because they were applying makeup to their faces. So,
But we actually right after the Portland show, so they play Portland and then San Francisco. So,
okay.
That should be interesting.
yeah,
Very
definitely.
nice. Well, speaking of Project, that is one of the little piece of news. They have unveiled the album cover for their next record, and they also have unleashed the title as well. And of course, I would say that, and I don't have it right in front of me. So
Of course you would.
I think it's called like "Behold the Knives" or something.
It's
like
Knives
that.
to the Future.
Knives to the Future. There you go. Knives to the Future, which is pretty cool. I like it as an album title, and we talked about this a little bit in kind of the preamble to the show, but this is the first album cover that Project 86 has ever had that I'm like, that is a really rocking cover. I like it, which is surprising because I don't think I've ever disliked a Project 86 record, but they've been one of those bands that has always eluded me as far as their album cover choices. Not to say that they're bad, but they never were like, ooh, so cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have said that you hated Project 86's album covers, so
I didn't say I hated them. I'm just not as big of a fan of most of them. And it's funny to me because I feel like I really do connect to their music, which you would think that would mean that I would just kind of inherently to some level really like their album covers. And they weren't bad.
It's okay,
Like, I
Paul.
think-
Some people appreciate fine art and some people don't. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
See,
Speak for
I'm looking
yourself.
at one of we have one of the Project 86 vinyls hanging up in the studio, and I'm looking at it right now, and it looks glorious. I don't know. I
It's
don't know
the Picket Fence Cartel.
Big Fence Cartel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one.
But that's an alternate cover for the vinyl, though.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I don't know.
And I will say this: I did like the Rival Factions and Picket Fence Cartel album covers. I will say I did like those, but the rest of them, not
See,
so
he's
much.
trying to backpedal now because he's afraid if Andrew ever hears this, he'll never want to be a guest on the Christian Rock 20 again.
No, I'm just afraid of that death stare that he gives from the stage, and I just know that if he gives that to me for too long, my head will explode.
Well, see, you just try watching him live in makeup. I mean, that was scary.
Yeah, I want to say I was at that show, but we didn't stay. Like, I was there while Project was warming up. I had a buddy of mine with me. He had never been to see any Christian concert ever before, and
Now,
so
different show, because I remember that I left early to that show too, but this is a different one.
oh, it was a different show. Okay, that one. Well, then that must have been not that long ago. Then, like a few months ago.
No, it was.
Okay. All right. I don't know. It all kind of blurs together into one big, it's hard to believe that it was 2 years ago at Joshua Fest that I saw 5 Iron Frenzy,
Yeah.
like for the first time. So that was all very, very strange. I got to actually meet Reese Roper, which was cool. He was very distracted because he was getting ready to perform. But Micah Ortega introduced me to him, which I thought was really cool. So
Nice.
It was also on that same. They gave me Mexican ska.
yes, That's exactly
That was
right.
interesting.
He walked over to the Broken FM table and he handed a couple albums to Tim, and they were Mexican ska. He's like, I don't know if you'll have any use for these, but I kind of enjoy them. So here, check these out.
Now, never mind. Okay.
You gonna let it go?
Yes, I'm going to let it go.
Okay, because
Let it go.
we
He
knew
didn't
where.
want to, whatever was going to come out of his mouth is probably going to alienate our neighbors to the south.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't want to. We knew exactly where Micah went, so
That's true.
Sorry, a little play on a 5-iron song there. All right.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
And a hard place. New music.
Disciple Radical.
And now, making their way to the ring from the deep, dirty south of America, newly independent and screaming Jesus loud and proud all over the world. Weighing in at a combined weight of 900 pounds, the Christian rock heavyweight champions of the world, Disciple! Yep, that about sums it up. After parting ways with Fair Trade Services, taking the indie route, and completing an incredibly successful Kickstarter campaign, Disciple is back with their 10th studio album, Attack. I've never heard a band like Disciple. Now, there are many bands out there that are Christian, and there are many bands out there that are rock. Disciple personifies Christian rock. Over the course of their entire discography, they've had this ability of taking the crystal clear message of the gospel and setting it to some of the most killer rock in existence. They don't hide behind imagery or complex artsy language. They unashamedly hit you in the face with the Jesus they know and sound cool doing it. For the new album Attack, due to be released on September 23rd, we see a brand new version of Disciple. You see, other than Kevin Young on lead vocals, Disciple has seen a bit of a revolving door, and the lineup has changed quite a lot since their first record in 1995. Rather than list who was in Disciple, here's the current roster for the album Attack. Andrew Stanton, formerly of I Am Empire on lead guitar, Josiah Prince, formerly of Philmont on rhythm, Jason Wilkes, lead singer of High Flight Society on bass, and Joey West, the drummer for After Edmund. Even though it's an all-new lineup, save Kevin, the sound created by this band is undoubtedly Disciple. I look at Kevin as the obvious reason for this. Kevin should do some workshops on leading a band because he's clearly holding the steering wheel of Disciple. They brought back an old friend, Travis Wyrick, to produce this album, something that's sure to put a smile on the face of longtime fans since Wyrick produced Disciple's first 7 albums. Alright, let's get to the record. Attack is heavy. Attack is powerful. Attack is a good name for Attack. Kicking off with the first track and first single, Radical, the pace is set for the rest of the record. Till the day I die, I'll be a radical, sings Kevin, and I believe every word. A giant wall of sound, this song fills you with confidence and arms you with what you need to witness to the world. The title track is a fitting number to open a show with, and track 3, Dead Militia, is perfect for closing one. The gang vocals and face-melting guitars create an anthem suitable for an unapologetic army on a mission. The song Scarlet is likely to be the next radio single, an emotional testimony of the grace of God and a direct shout-out to Isaiah chapter 1. This song accomplishes what Disciple always sets out to do: make Jesus the hero of the story. Another song worth mention is The Name. Aggressive guitars and Kevin's trademark belted vocals, all paving the way for lyrics that even your grandma would appreciate. Quoting both hymns and scripture, Disciple presents a timeless message in a fresh way. If you love your rhythm section grooves, you need to hear the song Lion. Wilkes turns his bass up to 11 and rocks a stellar bass lick that any young bass player will want to learn. Capping the record is the 100% pure ballad, Right Time, which proclaims the ultimately perfect timing of God in our seemingly hopeless and helpless state. If you've been a fan of Disciple for a while, this album is a must. If you've been looking for a Christian rock band that actually sound like they're Christians, but yet rock out as well as anyone, you'd do well with any Disciple album, but Attack is a great place to start. I give Attack by Disciple 4.5 rocks out of 5. For the Rock in a Hard Place podcast, I'm Tom Labonte.
Tom Labonte is the host of The Edge on UCB Canada, and you can find him at ucbcanada.com and rockfortherock.net.
Tom, that was a great review. Although I bet you're wondering if we are going to mention the fact that you said the album was called Radical at the very beginning. But, other than that, I really liked it.
He didn't say that. A female voice said that.
Yes, the computer said it. Stupid computers. That's the reason why you'll never take over the world. You can't even get a Disciple album right.
That's right. That's right. No, we've already had that conversation in the chat room, so it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
See, just now, funny that is to the Disciple record earlier in the week. I've only listened, I think, once or twice. I always since the single is the first track, I just started track 2 because I've heard the single lots of times.
Well, and that's the hard part about, going through and listening to an album that comes out so long. We've had it before where and they'll drop 2 singles before the album ever hits the store, and it feels like I've already heard all this before,
Yeah.
It just gets kind of annoying after a while, so...
But the funny thing about that is, at least for me, is that's my reaction at first. And then, after the album is, say a year or 2 old, those are the songs I still end up listening to, are the ones that were singles, and the rest of them end up falling by the wayside.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
I think if the single were in the middle and I was listening to it in the car and it would become dangerous to try to skip the song, then I'd probably listen to it. But it's like, all right, it's track 1. I'm just starting to track 2.
Yeah.
Which is an easy way to do it. I mean, at least you can just pop right by that. No big deal. So... let's see here. Paul, you kind of had an idea for a topic today, and I tried to fill Tim in on it, but I couldn't quite put it in the same words that you did. So I'm going to let you kind of run it from here and get the ball rolling. Okay.
Well, this may end up being just kind of a non-topic. I don't know, but it at the time that I thought of it, it sounded brilliant. So recently, of course, there have been several very notable people, not necessarily in Christian rock, but just notable people in general who have passed away. I mean, you had Robin Williams, and a few others that have just kind of, up and died rather unexpectedly. And as soon as that happens, I always see people on Facebook, especially with Robin Williams, who are like, oh, I'm so watching Jumanji tonight, or I'm watching Hook, or Good Morning Vietnam, or I'm going to bust out my box set of Mork and Mindy, and I just want to enjoy and appreciate the life's work of this person who just passed away. And while I did try out Mork and Mindy because I'd never actually seen Mork and Mindy before, other than that, I don't know that I have had the... or felt the need to immerse myself in Robin Williams' works. Most of the stuff that he's done I've really enjoyed, but I haven't felt the need to revisit that yet. So I wanted to bring that into the context of music. When you hear that maybe one of your favorite musicians or a musician that you liked in the past has passed away, do you go back and revisit it, or does that become something that you kind of avoid because it makes you feel sad? Or in the same token, when a band breaks up, or you hear is going to break up, does that make you care more or less about their music?
I would say if this happened, a few years ago, it'd probably be more nostalgic. Now, I think having kind of worked in the music business for a few years, I've seen bands come and then come back. They go
Right.
and then they're like, and a couple years later, we're going to come back. So it's more like you're like, well, if somebody's dead, well, then that's a little bit different. But if a band's broken up, it's like they can come back.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Well, let me put it this way. Falling Up has just, and I don't know if either one of you guys are big Falling Up fans, but Falling Up has announced that this next record that they're going to be putting out is going to be their last record. They're like, we're done. A lot of us are going to move on to something else together, but it will not be Falling Up. It's going to be something stylistically different. We're hoping that it will be a completely different, nothing similar except for the fact that we're all in it kind of thing. when that happened, I was like, oh, that's sad. At the same time, I don't know that I've really listened to their last couple of records very much. And I was just like, man, and it's weird because I'm sad that they're breaking up, even though it's not like I would, just hasten down to the record store or jump on iTunes the day their stuff came out to be like, oh, I have to consume this. This is like my favorite band ever. I enjoy their stuff. But at the same time, I was like, and I kind of wrestled with how I felt about that.
Yeah. Well, for me, we had bands like Sent by Ravens. Okay, just a couple years ago, announced that they were done, not going to be doing stuff together anymore, and that kind of thing. And everybody was like, "Oh man, that's really sad." But I can't honestly say since then that I've made a conscious effort to reach out and grab my Sent by Ravens album and pop it in for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
There are bands that I will put into, let's say I build a playlist that's going to go on my iPod to play in my car. There are some bands that may no longer exist that I will make a concerted effort to throw a few of their songs in and then throw it on shuffle and be like, oh man, I remember this song. It was great and this band was great and all of that. But I don't necessarily, it's not like I mark down their anniversary and play whatever their first or last album was, on the day that they disbanded to sit there and mourn over the loss of this. I don't get a lot of that stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. I know, when Beatlemania was sweeping the nation or whatever, that was one thing that when the Beatles broke up, I mean, there were literally people in the street crying as though someone had literally died.
Right.
And I don't understand that kind of passion for a particular band, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I wonder as much is that for most of those fans who were as upset about the Beatles breaking up, or ones who do get as depressed about, a band breaking up, not necessarily, once again, this is just breaking up, not dying.
Right.
But, if a band breaks up and they're just like really just totally torn over it, I wonder if that is as much of, oh, we will never get to hear a new Beatles record or a new Beatles song from that perspective at the moment. Or if it's as much of things are changing and I don't really like that. Because it could just be an indicator of, oh, this is the passage of time. I'm getting older. This thing that was kind of a comfortable thing for me, or that was kind of maybe a go-to for me in some way, isn't going to be there anymore. Mm-hmm. It's almost like moving somehow. It's just kind of that sadness of, oh, it's my life is moving past this point and I don't really want it to.
Well, I think, some of that, like, the only big it was a deal that broke for me was Five Iron. But at the time when they broke up, I was also moving. I was starting a new job. I was moving from the West Coast to the East Coast. And so all this was happening in my personal life. So it's like, okay, I know that happened in that same year. But, like I said, they also came back. They actually announced the reunion on Broken FM. So, I mean, when they came back, it was like, oh, okay, now they're back.
It's hard when, especially nowadays, like being in this industry, we see so much of that gone and then back and then gone and then back with so many bands, or a band breaks up, but half the band members stay together and they go off and start another band, and that other band sounds similar, but they've added a couple other members, which changes the dynamic a little bit, but not an incredible amount. It's hard for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too jaded. It's hard for me to mourn the loss of a particular band for any length of time, except to say, oh, that's really sad that they're not making music together anymore. Okay, who's next?
Right. Well, and that brings to mind, I guess, another angle to this, at least for me, because all three of us are in radio. This is whether making money or not, this is kind of a profession for the three of us. Do you think that our reactions to it is different than the average? Because for us, we're like, okay, we're going to talk about it whenever a band is breaking up, and that will be just kind of a surge of almost promotion for this band,
right?
As they're taking their final gasp of fandom air, but then after that, that there's not going to be anything else relevant to what we do come out. There may be like one, I think for Sent by Ravens, there may have been like one single that came out after they announced they were broken up. But I think for the label as well as for us, it was like, okay, well, we got to move on to something else because there aren't going to be concerts to tie into this. There's not going to be any news to tie into any of their songs. We can't look forward to a new single from them. They kind of become less relevant for radio people when they're gone than when they're here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that thing, it's just like in sport, it's injured. All right, it's the next up. It's like, well, we still have a radio station to program. So it's like, all right, what else is out there? As sad as it is, like, well, we still broadcast 24/7. I need to have music.
I like the analogy that Tim used there with sports. You get let's talk LeBron. He was started with a team, then he decided to leave and go to another team. He went to that other team. I think he won. I don't follow basketball, so this may be totally off base, but he left one team, went to another team, won a championship, and then decided he didn't want to be with that team anymore, and then went back to the original team that he was with.
Right.
I don't think he won the championship. I think they came really close several times.
No, they
but
went to the team. They won 2 championships, and then he went back to his home, basically.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
He won. That's what I thought. And that was part of his impetus for leaving was that he wanted an ability to win a championship, and he didn't feel that he would have that ability with the team that he was with. But
Right.
So all the fans in his original home. The original team that signed him, all of those fans, are they fans of the team or are they fans of him? So how many of those fans sold all of their stuff from the previous team and went and bought all of his stuff that he had on the new team,
Right.
and then went back and, when he went back to the old team, it's like, well, crap, now I got to get rid of all this new stuff and I got to go back and buy all this other stuff again. I mean, it's that mentality that makes it hard for me to want to follow a specific person or specific band that intently because we know that it's all temporary. Nobody lasts forever. There's only a few Aerosmiths and Rolling Stones and things. I mean, look at the band Petra. How long did those guys make music for? And finally it came to a point where John Schlitt just said, you know what? We've recycled the band. We've tried lots of stuff. Things just aren't working. It's time to be done.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because we're supposed to have this attitude of not holding on to things too dearly because then those things become idols in our lives. Maybe that's part of my mentality when it comes to bands. I mean, stuff is just going to come and go. But again, like Tim, being in radio, okay, they're gone. Now, who's going to step up to fill that void, and what are they going to sound like? And okay, let's start throwing our stuff behind these guys in order to help them come up and get better and be successful.
Although at the same time, there's also the thing where we don't get too excited a band until at least after album 2.
Right.
Because we've gotten excited bands and they're like, this was a great, and they're never going to make another one again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. Here's another question to throw in there on this. Do you think that at least for most people, the things that do fall into that category of, oh man, they're gone, but I'm still such a huge fan of their music. I want to go back and I want to relive, that music on a frequent basis. Do you think that there's really just kind of a sweet spot in your life when that is something that is possible? Like for me, I think the bands that I still go back and listen to on a somewhat regular basis that aren't together anymore are the bands that I listened to when I was like, early to mid high school through mid college.
Okay. For me personally, I have specific songs tied to specific memories or specific emotions. So Joe Satriani, okay, amazing guitarist. I have his song "Always with You, Always with Me," or "Always with Me, Always with You." I always get it reversed, but that song is one of my all-time favorites of his. And I put that on, and I remember the first time that I heard it and the people that I was hanging out with at the time. So if I want to reminisce about that particular thing, I can throw that song on, and I can do it. DC Talk's Jesus Freak. I was sitting in a car outside of a youth group house with a buddy of mine, and I had just come from the Christian music store and bought it. Like I was late to group that night because I bought this album. And I waited until I got to the house so that he could meet me there, come sit in my car when I slid the Jesus Freak album in and started playing this album. I mean,
Right.
that for me was like huge.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when was the last time I sat down and actually listened to the entire Jesus Freak album? I don't remember.
Right.
I
Yeah,
will
well-
I will put snippets in my shuffle list.
Right.
You know, I will put some of the songs in my shuffle list as well as some of their Free at Last and that kind of stuff. But you know, it's just if I want to remember specific things about specific times, I have songs that I can go to do that because they're deeply associated with that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I do this. I mean, there are a few songs like 2000. I was doing a lot of stuff. Like in 2005, I was living on Tree. It was like, okay, I can remember that year because it was the 1 year I wasn't living in America. So, but other than that, I mean, anymore, I get so busy with doing stuff for radio and trying to figure out what's new, what's coming up, you know, trying to figure out what's next. That I mean, like even outside of like in the general rock world, there's only about 3 or 4 bands that I even keep really that kind of close eye on, just because there's so much to do just for work.
Right.
Then it's. I mean, I have a ton of music, and some of it I'll go back and do. Like, I was for a buddy's wedding that I was kind of DJing and emceeing, and it's like, wow, this is the first time I've actually looked through my iTunes collection in a long time, because usually it's like, oh, all the new stuff, whatever's coming up. You know, I was listening to like the Disciple record while I'm driving around and stuff like that. There's some of that from more like 10 plus years ago, but anymore it just seems kind of a jumble for me.
Well, and it's hard when you're trying to go through to create those lists too, because our opinions of that music is colored by the business that we're in.
Right.
You know, so I mean, it's really hard for me going through and like my church always asks me to do the music at events that we have. You know, we had a 25th anniversary celebration for our pastor and his wife. Our senior pastor has been pastoring our church for 25 years. Like that's totally unusual nowadays. So we did a big, huge party and barbecue and everything, and you know, they asked me to play the music. Well, I'm having to go through and I'm like, okay, I have a lot of great songs. Most of them are not appropriate for this this particular type of event. So it's really hard for me to go through my library and pick out the songs that are going to be accepted by the widest majority of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very true. And you know, it also comes down to the same kind of thing, like you're talking about, for the shows or the stations or whatever. I mean, you'll hear a song and you'll be like, that's great. I can never play that.
Yeah, totally. I have a lot of songs that we get submitted. And I'm like, hey, Tim, check this out. Really good song. Both of us listen to it. Yeah, I really like that, but it won't fit.
Right. Right.
This morning, stuff we've been sent to over the last year for another project, and apparently we got sent the Lego song. So everything is awesome is sitting in my inbox somewhere. Apparently that was done by a Christian artist, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, was it by The Fold?
No, it was. I didn't recognize the name, but I was looking through my stuff, and it was like there were several songs from that movie. So it's one submission.
Too funny. Too funny. Well, Paul, does that kind of answer
Yeah.
what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I was just curious as to how you guys reacted whenever it was like, at least there was a seeming end to something, and whether that made you want to listen to it more or less. And it's funny because for me, it tends to be less, even if been a pretty big fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I know so many people who, for one reason or another, and maybe it's just the stuff that fell in that sweet spot, because that was one thing I noticed with Robin Williams is most of the people who are like, oh, I'm going to go back and watch this.
Right.
It's usually the thing that came out when they were like 13 or younger for them.
Right. Right. Well,
So-
I mean, Jumanji, Kirsten Dunst, there you go. She's like 9 years old, right?
Sure. I never liked Jumanji.
Really? Oh, I thought it was great.
No, I
enjoyed it.
It did nothing for me. I don't know why, but it's like I like Robin Williams. I like a lot of stuff that was on there, but yeah, Jumanji, not so much.
Nah,
I
not
think it's
so
the
much.
movie that was. What is it? Isn't it like 3 hours long or something?
Who, Jumanji?
Yeah.
No,
Maybe it's just because I was watching it on TV. It seemed to go forever.
Yeah.
Because it came on like TNT or something one day. So we're watching it at the house going, this movie is still on. But it's always full of commercials. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was, I think it was only like 78 minutes or something like that. It wasn't that long.
I may be thinking of an entirely different movie. I don't know.
That's completely possible. That's completely
My
possible.
wife Titanic in the theaters a couple of years ago. And we're like, yeah, it's playing at 8. And then I realized it's like 3.5 hours. We're going to be there till midnight. So
Yeah.
we did not do that.
Yeah. You got to pay attention to that kind of stuff. That's, the Lord of the Rings movies and all of that stuff. The Hobbit. It takes forever. They all just take forever. Well, before we move on, let's take a quick break and talk about our sponsor, Tweaked Audio. These guys are pretty cool. You can get 7 different styles. You have a choice of 7 different styles, 7 different colors. You can get them with a mic. You can get them without a mic. They're designed for great sound for music and talk. Now, Paul, you got the sample that we got sent, and you did a little video that you posted on the YouTube channel about them. You have any other thoughts since then? Because I know you've had more time to be able to utilize them since then.
Well, the one thing that I will say about these is, they're just, I like them. They're well-rounded. I mean, I think that you will probably guess from the price, these are not going to be like the next level kind of stuff. I mean, this isn't like the pro grade. This is not what producers use in the studio. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. But for a mid-range price headphone, they work really well. This is the first ones I've ever had that had the flat cord, and I enjoy that. It's less bulky. And I know one of the big benefits is supposed to be that they don't tangle as much as like the round cord ones do. But it works really well. I use the inline mic a good chunk on my trip, talking to people on the phone. I talked to you, Chris, on them, and I talked to my wife, and it sounded really good. And, of course, the audio for the YouTube video, if you end up watching that, was recorded from the inline mic. And they're just nice. I like them. I did downsize the little ear rubber, whatever you're going to call it, the nub, that actually goes into your ear. I downsized it from the medium one down to the small one. I think they fit just a little bit better now.
Cool.
I don't know who the people are who have the huge honking ear holes that they use the big ones of these, but, that's okay. You are. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I usually have to go large.
Yeah.
So,
Go big or go home, I guess.
yeah, pretty much.
So I like them. And I mean, especially with the 33% discount, if you use the Hard Place promo code, they're a really good price. I mean, they're not a bad price to begin with, but you stick in that promo code, you're getting a really good bargain. The shipping is free. They'll ship them to you anywhere. I mean, when I first saw the packaging, I was like, oh, this isn't as impressive as I thought it was going to be. It's not bad packaging, but, it's hard to know what you're going to get until you plug them into your ears. But I've been pleasantly surprised with this pair. I haven't tried out the second pair yet, but I'll try them out for next week. They look a little bit more like the kind of the old style iPhone headphones.
Right.
They still have the flat cord, but we'll give them a shot for next week and see how they fare.
Awesome. Good deal. I know Kirk bought a pair and got them, and he's enjoyed them. He said he wished they had a little bit more bottom end, but that's kind of the trade-off with a lot of different headphone brands. You can either have a lot of bottom end or enough bottom end, and it makes the vocal sound somewhat muddy, or you can have too little bottom end and everything else sounds nice and rich and full. And so he bought the naturals, which are the wood ones. Right. So that's awesome. And he used the discount code. So he got them, I think they were $26 shipped to his door for the wood naturals. And he says he's enjoying them a lot. And the more he uses them, the more comfortable they become. And he feels like the better they sound. He gets more adapted to what their particular things are. And he really seems to enjoy them.
Yeah, and the earbuds I was using before this were Skull Candies, and I didn't hate them, but I agree. I mean, the Skull Candies did just kind of have just a little bit too much of the low end.
Yeah.
I mean, it would thump your ear.
Yeah.
Which, if you're into that, great. But, these do tend to have a better middle ground, which I like.
That's what I like about my headphones is I put them in and a deep bass note hits and it actually feels like it shakes my skull.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that's what I enjoy. So, as I say, they are noise reducing, especially the kind that Paul has are noise reducing. They're compatible with anything that fits the standard 1/8-inch jack, stereo jack. So most telephones, all MP3 players. And if you use our code, Paul mentioned it, it's Hard Place. If you use that code when you order, you can get a discount of 33% off. There will always be free shipping. There is always a lifetime warranty, and you can find out more about them at tweakedaudio.com. And we are thankful that they have risked their business name on this tiny little podcast. It's kind of a win-win for them. It doesn't cost them anything unless somebody actually buys something, and then we get, I think we get 10% of the price, which is good.
Nice.
I like it. Cool. So
I'm gonna feel though if after the show they drop stop sponsoring the show, I'm gonna feel somehow for that.
I'm never buying their stuff again if they stop sponsoring. Oh man! All
We're
right.
like the mafia. You just don't leave.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
The Rock in a Hard Place podcast presents
The one and the only.
All right, boys and girls, get ready for
The Stew.
All right, it is time for the stew. Now, this will be the first time we've ever had more than one person directly on the line with us when I'm doing the stew. So, Chris, should I just direct this at you, or should I open it up for both of you guys?
No, actually, this is going to be Tim's stew.
Nice.
Oh, good Lord! Oh no! What about
Tim being a
No, I'm kidding.
Tim being a program director, I'm gonna put him on the hot seat, and I did not warn him about this ahead of time, so I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this a lot.
Well, that and he, along with other people, always kind of harassed poor Chris about when he doesn't get stuff in the chat room when they don't have the pressure on. So
yeah. Now I will play along. Okay, I'll write it down in my book. So everybody can see my book. I will have that out, and I will write it down. But Tim is going to be the one who is actually graded on this test.
So that's right. So Chris is just there for the shame factor, so that if Tim totally bombs, Chris can be like, well, it was this stupid, and it was this stupid.
It's going to be really awkward on Monday.
Yeah, I won't say stupid because A, I have to work with Tim, and B, I don't want him to stop being program director because I don't have time to do it. Literally, if Tim leaves, Broken FM is off the air. I mean, that's just pretty much where things are.
Okay, so if there are insults, they will have to be implied. They won't be explicitly stated.
Correct. Correct.
All right. So now this one is kind of a weird first. There are technically 3 movie clips instead of 2.
Oh.
Just because one of them's really short, and it just felt so perfect for the end, and it'll make sense. But there are still 3 song clips, all from different songs. And, of course, you know the drill. You got to figure it all out. And if you get both title and artists, obviously there's bonus points in that. But I really want you to come up with a song if at all possible. So, Chris, I'll let you take it away, and we'll see how Tim fares in this one.
All right, Tim, you ready?
I guess.
Just wearing you out, but I'm wearing you down.
I can understand you're very upset. Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
I know you hear me clearly, I'm weary. Come and fill me with your power. Fill me.
Hey, I'm the flavor of the month.
Cut all radio communication.
So there you go.
So the movies, I totally I'm on. Just that's why every time movies, and I have it was like a Mission Impossible, but that was about it.
Oh, okay.
Mission Impossible is what he's thinking on the movie.
Yes, it is. It is. It's the first Mission Impossible.
Well, there you go. That's the one that like on like Amazon and Netflix. It's always the 2 and 3 that are like on free, and so I'm like, I really want to watch 1, but I don't know. Now, in terms of the songs, I since I wasn't prepared to write this down, I was just trying to remember it. But I think it was Amberlin, Manifest, and Disciple.
Okay. Yes, artists are very good.
Wow.
Very good. Now, let's see how well you do on bonus points, because this is really what I want. Do you have song titles for me?
I can replay the songs if you want.
Well, the Manifest one, I don't think it was something. I don't know if I remember correctly, because it was a song like I recognized his voice, but I didn't recognize as this. The other singles, I don't remember what they are.
Well, is Anne Boleyn's song "Impossible"?
Yes, it is. Woo-hoo-hoo! Or is that just a total stab in the dark?
No. It's I had it playing in my head.
Oh, okay.
Had it playing in my head. So, but I don't know the names of the other two. I don't know the names of the other two songs. So, but
okay. Well, do you want to do longer clips?
I can.
So, well, does Tim want to hear longer clips?
Yeah, play the longer clips, and I'll see if I can.
Okay, so since we already know Anne Boleyn's "Impossible" is the first track, we'll start with track 2, which, according to Tim, is "Manifest."
Yes.
I know you hear me clearly. I'm weary. Come and fill me with your power. Heal me. It seems impossible for me to let this go. Feel like an animal.
I'm sensing a theme here, a theme of impossible.
Yes. This is the first time we've ever had 2 songs on the stew that both have the same title. I was hoping it might throw somebody. Plus, I couldn't find any Christian rock songs that I thought either one of you would have a snowball's chance of getting that was called Mission. So,
okay.
Yeah, if you played like more contemporary stuff, there's probably some Mission songs, but not so much on the rock side.
Yeah.
To love the Lord your God is the heartbeat of our mission. See? That's
Steve Green?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, the only one I could think of is the one that's just called Mission by Ian Eskelin, but it's from back in his like techno dance days.
Yeah,
so.
see, I would never have gotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have gotten the blank stare from me going, huh? What?
What is this?
So do you want the Disciple song, Tim, to...
You can play it. It's one of those things like, I've heard this song. We played this song. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, play the long song.
Oh, it's just called 3, 2, 1. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. As soon as I almost stopped it before it got to the 3, 2, 1 because I was like, oh, yeah, it's 3, 2, 1. So there you go.
Which there are 3 Mission Impossibles and there's a 4th, but it's, most people don't call it Mission Impossible 4. So.
Well, it's like the 4th Home Alone movie when it's a different, it's like,
Yeah, or the 4th Karate Kid movie and then the 5th Karate Kid movie that's the same as the first Karate Kid movie, but it's got a much worse actor in it.
What? Oh, you're talking about the girl
like
Karate Kid movie.
No, that would be the 4th Karate Kid movie. The 5th one is the remake of the first one.
Okay. See,
I like Jackie Chan. I'm not a big fan of Jaden Smith personally.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah. Well, I remember watching the one with Jaden Smith going, I know how this movie ends, but it's all different people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, well, that's, I think it was it Hilary Swank who was in the
I think so.
girl Karate Kid movie?
Yeah, but see, in my mind, I wasn't counting that. And more or less, I had forgotten about that one when you were talking about it because you're like, a 4th Karate Kid? Like, no, there's Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. And then they did a reboot. And then I was like, oh, yeah, there was the next Karate Kid, which came out when I guess I was a teen.
See, and that's what I'm trying to remember. I don't think I ever saw the one with Hilary Swank, but I don't even remember if Miyagi was the one that was in it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Pat Morita?
Yeah, I think so. That was before he died.
Well, of course, because it would be hard for him to be in the movie after he died.
CGI is an amazing thing.
Well, it's funny. I say that, and then, of course, I don't know if you remember, but Brandon Lee was in the middle of recording The Crow when he died, and they actually digitally superimposed his face over top of another actor's body for the rest of the film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. A little bit of trivia.
Oh, I thought he died like the day before it came out in theaters. I thought it was already done.
They were in the midst of filming when it happened.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, for what it's worth, just for those who are going, when did that come out? The next Karate Kid came out in 1994, and it was Hilary Swank, yeah.
Okay. And Pat Morita?
Yeah, and Pat Morita. He's right on the cover.
Interesting. Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was basically just like rehashing. I mean, it wasn't like completely different or anything. It was basically here's a girl who's having problems.
It was pretty much Ralph Macchio said, I'm done with these freaking movies. They are too tiring for me to try and do all these karate things. I'd rather go play guitar in a movie called Crossroads. Thank you very much.
Right.
It's like that's what it really was.
Yeah. Matire.
Well, it didn't come out. It came out like 4 years after Part 3.
Yeah. I know.
No, I did Ross. The first Mission Impossible was on TV, the other day, and so like I watched a couple of minutes of it. But it was really funny because it came out in like 1996, and the internet looked very different then. So he's like sending from like this ancient looking email program.
The best thing ever, though, is to go back and watch like old movies like The Net, where they tried to make hacking exciting. So it's like, you go through this, or Hackers, where you go through this like kind of 3-dimensional computer world, and you're like, nothing ever looked like that. It was just green text on a black screen.
Do you remember Sandra Bullock in The Net?
Yes, I do.
Where she's sitting at this computer conference trying to, just sitting at this computer terminal, and she's trying to do some kind of hacking something, I don't know, and people are trying to find her and kill her and stuff like that. It was like, I go back and I remember things about that movie that were just complete and utter ridiculousness.
And of course, the ever-present challenge for directors and studios at that point is, how do you make someone sitting typing seem very intense and exciting somehow?
You light the screen so that it shows up on their face, and you can see all of the code that they're typing as it goes down their, scrolls down their face. That's how you make it exciting.
Either move or go some rough, do your work, do your math.
Yeah. No thanks. Well, that is going to do it for us today. Tim, thanks for hanging out, buddy. I'm sure the audio podcast will sound much better with your local recording. It was we got to figure out what in the world is going on with that mic coming over Skype. But we got you most of the time, so at least we were able to have a conversation.
Well, that's good.
So
it's been fun. I know I will see Chris on Monday, and I've been to come on. And I was joking with him earlier that it just saves my thumbs from typing in the chat room. So I just came down here and figured I'd just chat with you guys live.
Yep. No, it's totally fine. We'll have to do it again once we get this little buggy thing worked out. But as always, super fun. Love to hang out with you guys. Paul, this is it, man. It's time to go.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm Chris Cooner.
I'm Paul Gibson.
And I'm.
We'll see you next week.